Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Rose.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Here we are with our Dexter Resurrection Season 1, Episodes 1 and 2 reaction and
Mm-hmm.
review. I cannot express how happy I am at this point. It is just like we are galloping through the most macabre bed of tulips possible. This
Mm-hmm.
show we love is back, and I had a great time with these episodes.
Yeah, I had a really fun time with these episodes too. I think they're setting up for a lot of really juicy storylines coming up of how maybe we're going to end up having Dexter meet Charlie, to meet Leon, to meet all these other killers. I think they've done a really good job with these two episodes setting the table. And while I normally don't like it when they drop more than one episode at once, I feel that they needed to do that here because the first episode was very Harrison heavy. And for me, I'm in the middle with him. I know there's lots of people out there that really don't like him. And I'm kind of just in the middle with him. Some of the story works, some of it doesn't. But here on Dexter Resurrection, a lot of this story is revolving around Dexter being a father and still trying to find a way to mend things with his son. So there is going to be a lot of Harrison in this.
I felt like it worked thanks to those two episodes. I do
Yes.
agree that the first
Yes.
episode was a little too Harrison heavy, but I didn't mind the story that he had here. And I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of moments watching Dexter where we all can have these sort of what's wrong with me moments where we all either find ourselves rooting for Dexter or feeling
Mhm.
really messed up about the world. But I just found myself watching these episodes being like, I feel like I'm just getting this big hug. And it's like, that's not the show that this is. But I think it's just I have such a soft spot in my heart for this world. You know, we've
Mhm.
talked about this before, but we have been Dexter fans for such an extremely long period of time
Yeah.
that we never thought we were even going to have this show. And while it's not perfect and there are some issues here or there, there's just so many good things. And there's so many also just story points we can kind of speculate and theorize about.
They have really set things up very well for this season to be a 10 out of 10 for me already. I mean, when they announced some of the cast members, Peter Dinklage, Uma Thurman, David Desmalchin, I mean, there are so many amazing actors that are part of this. I was like, how could they go wrong? And then we have this, this first episode where they're bringing back Trinity and, Jimmy Smith is back
Yeah.
and, Dokes. It just was so much nostalgia for me because I am such a Dexter fan to see these faces again, even though it was, in a ghostly manner. We got Harry back. I was just like, man, I really feel like I'm back in the original Dexter.
Okay, so if you guys do not know, we are going to be your one stop shop for all things Dexter. We love this universe. We have 3 videos a week coming your
Mhm.
way, reviews, theories, previews, all sorts of great stuff. We are ready to dive headfirst into all of this with you. Be sure to hit that subscribe button
Mhm.
because, yeah, we really don't want you to miss out. But, we've been doing this YouTube game a long time, and
Mhm.
subscribing, it's just the number one way to make sure you don't miss any of these updates that we have coming for you.
And if you want more Dexter content, you can join our Patreon. We'll
Mhm.
have discussions going on over there, as well as Countdown, the new Jensen Eckel show. We are covering that exclusively over there. It's the only place that you can get those reviews. So thank you so much to everyone who has joined.
Thank you guys. We very, very much appreciate that.
Okay, so Dexter is saved. I mean, we all kind of knew that was coming from all
Yeah.
the trailers that were out there and all the information. Obviously, it's coming back. It's called Dexter Resurrection. Of course, he's going to be back. Then we have this like 10-week time jump where he's been in a coma, and this is where we get all the nostalgic feels, where we
Yes.
have Trinity coming in, and Dexter's like blaming him for losing Rita and everything that happened with Harrison. Trinity's like, oh, it's my fault. No, 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 no. This is all your fault because you thought that you could balance having this normal life with this serial killer life. And that's not how it works, which is rich coming from Trinity, considering he was doing the same
Yes.
thing. Then we see Miguel Prado come in, someone that we both really like. I mean,
Yeah.
having friendships between two men on TV, it's not really something that you get to see very often. So, I mean, that was such a good season. And it was good to see them back together where there was still that natural friendship chemistry there in, the ghostly world. And Miguel's kind of saying the same thing, where it's just like, yeah, you can't you're noble for killing these people and gassing him up as a friend would do, but at the same time reminding him that he is a killer, and because of that, innocent people die.
Okay, I will say Jimmy Smits is the most underrated big time guest star that the Dexter universe has ever
Hmm.
had. And I say that because obviously we all know Trinity. We all love Trinity. Like,
Yeah,
there's a reason there's been Trinity prequel conversations
right.
and all of that. But
Mhm.
Miguel had this unfortunate situation where he was sandwiched between season 2. I know this may be polarizing, my favorite season of Dexter, and then season 4, which is just iconic, that
Mhm.
it gets a little bit forgotten about. But I thought that cameo was really, really well done. And now, though, we get into, I'll put on a hard hat here
Oh, I'm
because,
putting on a hard hat as well because I got a take on
all
this.
right, here's my take. I love Dokes. Dokes is one of my favorite characters of all time. I
Nobody needs a hard hat for that. We
No,
all love
we
those.
all love Dokes. The moment Dokes came in with the surprise, you know why, I nearly fell out of my chair. But here's the thing: if they hadn't announced that, I would have had a borderline heart attack in that
I
moment. I
know.
would be in a coma for 10 weeks. And so I'm a little bit annoyed. I understand them announcing the other ones. I wish they hadn't announced this one because it would have genuinely stunned me and I would have been so thrilled.
Yeah, I would have been absolutely, somebody needs to come pick me up off the floor. Absolutely. That would have been such a shocker that everyone would be
Yes.
talking about if they hadn't announced it. But that's not my problem with it. I love Dokes. I love the surprise, what, opening the
Yeah.
curtain. I loved, bringing back all the weird things he's called him, creepy, on and on. I was like, yes, yes, yes. Here's the person who's going to come in as a ghostly figure and is gonna kind of remind him of who he actually is, and who he is somebody that's killing people, who's a problem, who's someone that needs to stop it in some sort of way. Because while that was Dokes's big thing, is like, I can see you for who you are and you're not a good person. I know you try to make yourself feel like you are, like, Miguel, oh, you're so noble out here killing people that deserve to be killed, as a friend would gas somebody up. But Dokes doesn't do that. Dokes is, no, 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 you're a bad person, you're killing people, and that's just bad across the board. And with Dokes then coming in and being like, you know what? Yeah, you're a bad person, but there's this good nugget inside of you, and you need to live for your son. I was like, okay, I know why this is happening, because this is Dexter's mind. He can make people do whatever he wants in his mind. He wants all the people that he's wrong to come back and tell him he's great. But Dokes, it felt really weird to see him there being like, I know there's good in you, Dexter. You got to come back for your son. I didn't believe it.
I think the one thing I'm wondering about with that is just that, did they try to get Jennifer Carpenter? And I mean, she's already come out and said that she's not
Mm-hmm.
going to be a part of this show. She's told Deb's story, which, once
Yeah.
you've done something for 8 seasons plus New Blood, I respect it. You can move on and do whatever else you want. But it does feel like Deb would have probably been a better person than Dokes to give that
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
specific information. It's
Mm-hmm.
still, I love getting to see Dokes again. Yeah, maybe it wasn't the perfect circumstance for it. I just still wish that they never killed Dokes in the first place. I understand why they did. You can't have that character around Dexter for too long because eventually he's just going to arrest him.
Okay, speaking of characters that are just all of a sudden not around anymore, let's talk about Angela, who has just
Yeah.
poof into space. We don't know what is really going on. She has left Iron Lake, leaves Dexter this note being like, we're even now. Now leave Iron Lake and don't ever come back, kind of thing. And we've got Teddy here, who's like, the new person in charge, and obviously he knows Dexter and all that, but he's basically like, oh man, Angela's so sorry for mistakenly arresting you for the murder of Caldwell. It was all such a mistake. Please don't press charges. All I was just like, that's what they did with Angela. They just poofed her out of existence and just yeeted her into the sun like she never existed. What?
Okay. I put on a tinfoil hat, everybody. This is
Okay.
something, I'm going to do some theory crafting on this throughout the season, but where I'm standing on it right now is Angela's not gone for good. It's just like she has been taken off the board right now. And yeah, it's sort of okay, we conveniently, for story purposes, need to do this because,
Just paint over
yes,
everything that it was like, oh, I made a mistake.
like,
It's all fine.
Clyde Phillips was intending for New Blood to just be a one season thing. It's sort of like he had to find a way to bring Dexter back. Michael C. Hall was just like, I'm not done playing Dexter. So it's just like, okay, we have to justify the show's existence. But I think the reality here is that Angela's very much still a loose end. And she's somebody
Mhm.
who, unlike Lumen, a character we both love and would desperately love to see back,
Mhm.
Angela's very much a Clyde Phillips creation. So I feel like he's going to find a way to bring her back eventually. I'm just trying in my head, and it's a little bit difficult because, yeah, they did just eat this character into the sun, but she's also a parent. She's got other people to think about. So she might just be trying to protect the people she cares about for now. But I don't think that Batista is going to just let her go for good, whether it's this season, some other point down the road. I am standing on my hill. We will see Angela again.
The thing is, though, is even if she comes back, she's already painted this peaceful brush all over Dexter that he is fine, no problem. Like, if she comes back, I guess I'm kind of like, what for? You're not here to actually put him away, because then you have flip flopped on your story. Angel can't really use her for any kind of testimony. She's flip flop back and forth. She's not reliable in her testimony, and one of these testimonies is a lie. And so it's kind of like, what is she gonna come back for?
She would have to come back in an instance where she can help Batista, but help Batista get something that he can use as irrefutable evidence that she's not tied to. And I think that's where it gets a little bit complicated. But what's not complicated at all right now, I love this version of Batista that we got in these first couple of episodes. Because, I mean, obviously, we all know how good David Zayas is as an actor, but I think it's just the presence here, and you can see David's really put a lot of thought into this, where it's sort of the same Batista, but not really. Like, he's still got that same charisma, that charm. Like, Angel is to me, and he's always been this way, the Dexter character I would most likely be friends with, because he's just so gregarious. And, you go eat a sandwich with him, have a good time. He's still got that. But he's got a little bit of that Columbo now, where he's just like, oh, hold on here. I just got one more question for you. And he's very relentless without coming across as relentless.
Angel's going to be the person that ends up taking Dexter down. I feel like it's really the only real, for me, satisfying person, if somebody is going to take him down, that it is Angel, for everything that's been tied together with, he's asking questions about Deb. Why did you, I saw the video, you're taking her out of the hospital, what is happening with that, everything that's happened with Maria, and the questions about it, where he's like, yeah, man, she told me in confidence that you were the Bay Harbor Butcher, and then she's dead. Like, everything is just kind of ending up very weird about it. He's a very smart detective, but because he's been friends with and looking out for Dexter since Dexter was an intern, like 20 years old, I think for him, like, their friendship and sort of like being that big older brother had blinders on until it was starting to like circle around Deb, who he really cares about, and Maria, who
Yeah.
really cared about. That at that point, the blinders started to come down. And I really like to see him in this role here, where he's like asking all the right questions. He clearly knows that there is a something, even with Angela giving him that call and then him being like, and then it's fine. She made a mistake. And I feel that that's not truthful. I'm like, you're right, Angel.
Yeah.
I just think that for me, if Angela was the person that had taken him down, that wouldn't have been satisfying. I don't want to see some super cop like Lundy come in and take him down. It needs to be somebody that's worked with him side by side for a really long time for it to be satisfying if Dexter's ever going to get caught.
I hope that this is just a slow moving game of cat and mouse, because
Slow.
I always love games of cat and mouse, and I don't want to see Dexter kill off Batista. I want Batista
No,
to
I
be
will not be all right.
No, I want Batista to be around for Resurrection, however long it is, and him just take his time, collect information, immerse himself in Dexter's life to a certain extent, and, try to get some answers, because I feel like Batista knows deep down that Dexter's probably the Bay Harbor Butcher. Like, I think he feels it, and I think he just knows, okay, I have to be relentless in doing this, but it's going to be hard on him because he's probably going to spend this whole series like second guessing himself, or it's like, I treated this guy like a friend. I cared about him. How
Mhm.
did I not see this? He's going to have a lot of reckoning. And what's kind of crummy here, and this is what I'll put another tinfoil hat on.
Hmm.
Batista's going to need people to talk to at some point on this show because
Hmm.
he's not going to have a lot of outlets. Masuka, welcome to Dexter
Yep.
Resurrection. I
Yep.
think we're either going to see Masuka or Quinn at some point.
Having Dexter call in and pretend to be Quinn with
I
his
know.
Quinn voice, I died.
It was just, these episodes were so good on the nostalgia. They mentioned so much from past seasons, but I think at the same
Yeah.
time, they explained a lot. So if you're new to the universe, I think most of what you're seeing here probably makes some sense.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Angel, I think, knows in his heart of hearts that Dexter's a Bay Harbor butcher, but he doesn't have evidence. He
Yeah.
doesn't have enough evidence. He doesn't have anything to actually make that stick to Dexter. And that's how I think they're going to be able to play this as a nice, long cat and mouse game. Because even if Angel knows it in his heart, he has to prove it. And there's no point in Angel bringing in Dexter to arrest him to just have him be let go. He has to have evidence.
Yeah, and that's going to take a while. But
Yeah.
now we basically move ourselves off to the Big Apple because this is where the majority of Resurrection is going to take place. Here is also where we get the pretty elongated Harrison spotlight that I'm sure is going to be polarizing. I will say this, though. I enjoy things set around hotels. It is why I enjoy The White Lotus
Yes.
as much as I did. I felt like Faulty Towers, Once Upon a Time, one of the better British comedies that's ever aired. Anything set around a hotel.
Murder at the End of the World,
Yeah.
great show.
Really, really good setting because you have a lot of different people that are in a kind of enclosed environment. This was a great place just to leave Harrison so he can have characters that he's clearly known for a little while. He has some sort of relationship with already, and he's kind of got some bonds that he has there. And I mean, that's including Elsa, who works with him. And so we kind of dive into his world, but also see him struggling with his own. And we're going to use the phrase dark passenger a lot in this video, but he's clearly dealing with his own at this point.
Well, here's the thing. It's like, I know we have Dexter later come in and be like, oh man, I'm a proud daddy here.
Yeah.
Like everything, he's doing everything the way that I taught him to do it. We're the same sort of thing. And I really like that Harry was like, are you the same though? Because it feels like they're not in
No.
that way. While, yes, we had this situation where Harrison decided that he was going to kill this guy because of this horrible thing that was about to happen. And that is a connection. Something that doesn't happen to Dexter, that is happening to Harrison, is guilt. Where he is feeling guilt over what he did to his dad. He's like reliving it like over and over again in his head, what he's now done to this guy, that even this guy was going to do this horrible thing. He's still seeing him popping up and like haunting his dreams to the point he's oh man, I don't know how to even stop this. I'll go party with my friend. Maybe that'll help. Nope, nothing. He cannot outrun his guilt. And that is the main difference between him and his dad. His dad doesn't feel those things. Harrison is like swimming in guilt.
Very, very much swimming in guilt. And it feels like, here's the way I would sort of explain it in my head, is just that Dexter has a thirst to kill. Harrison has a will to kill. He's willing to kill if the situation calls upon it, like what happened at the end of New Blood. And here, he's willing to do it because I think he just emotionally in his head realizes if I don't do this, something really horrible is going to happen to this woman and something
And
really
many more.
Yeah, and so he's just sort of like, okay, I'm willing to do this because I think it's going to be for the greater good. And so he does it, and he uses some of the skills that he knows because of his dad to sort of clean up the operation soon after. And I think it's a good foundational place where we can see, okay, there are connections here between father and son, but they're not the same person. And I also appreciate that they're still slow building a eventual reunion here, because obviously they're gonna come together probably at some point this season. I like, though, that it didn't happen in these episodes.
I love this new super detective. I don't want her to be able to actually come in and figure Harrison out or figure Dexter out or anything like that, but she's so smart and so detail oriented, like to the fact that we've only made it to the end of episode 2 and she's already clocked that Harrison is somebody she needs to talk to and is like, yeah, pull him in. I was like, oh no.
This detective Claudette, she feels like the star of her own crime show, if I'm being totally honest. Like, we've all watched these various shows where you have somebody who's got a little bit of a different skill set than everybody else
Yep.
come onto the scene, whether it's Psych or, High Potential on ABC right now, or it's like,
Sherlock.
yeah, it's always a situation like this. But I kind of love the idea that we have a supporting character on this show who's
Mhm.
basically now this person, and also kind of sort of the adversary to
Mhm.
our heroes who aren't really heroes. It's all just gloriously complicated, where if Harrison and Dexter are able to outsmart her, it's not going to be because she's an idiot. And I think we have a lot of shows, especially ones with an anti-hero. We're looking at you, the Blacklist, where the task force or the police always look like dum-dums by the end of it.
Yes, absolutely. And this show has always done a very good job of having detectives or cops that are on the scene of a lot of these murders that are not dum-dums, that are not always, 15 steps behind to make sure that Dexter can get away with things. They make it that the detectives here are on his tail. So Dexter has to swerve and find another way out of it. And that's why this show is as good as it is.
It's really clever how they've sort of put everything together with all of that, but also really clever that they figured out ways to answer a lot of the questions and concerns I had as these
Mhm.
episodes kept going. Because kind of when we got to the end of episode 1, I was feeling, all right, I'm glad we've already taken care of a lot of the procedural stuff. Dexter's in New York. We're sort of building
Mhm.
towards something, but Dexter needs somebody to confide in who's not Harrison. Like, we have to have somebody else for this to work. Dexter just can't be wandering around forever. And that's where we meet Blessing, who then is able to further answer the question of, okay, where's Dexter going to live? What is he going to do for a living? Like, all of that is taken care of in a really good way.
If you are not watching Smoke, you need to start watching Smoke. This actor is incredible. I know that we've only kind of had a little bit of him here where he's playing like this nice guy, rideshare driver, helping out, jovial. Oh my God. If you see him on Smoke, you are going to be terrified of him. You're going to
Yes.
have empathy for a really dark and sinister character. He is easily the best actor on that show. And there is a lot of really, really good actors on that show. But that character is a top 10 TV character of all time on Smoke. He's just awesome. So when I saw him on here, I was like, this is like a completely different character from the darkness that he is playing on Smoke.
Yeah, Blessing is so warm, so genial. I mean, the fact that his name is Blessing probably says a
He's
lot in
amazing.
the first place. Yeah, he's totally the antithesis of Dexter from what we have seen so far, where it seems like he very much is who he appears to be on face value. He's someone who doesn't isn't that questioning of Dexter, despite the fact that Dexter has gotten into his car. We learned that there is this rideshare killer going on out there. Gee, what a surprise. Uber doesn't want their name attached to this. And,
Right.
but it's just this situation where he's still trusting enough with Dexter after just one ride that he's sort of like giving him contact information. Also, at the same time, kind of surprising, Dexter is just using his real name at this point. I guess he figures if Batista's brought him back to life, he might as well.
Yeah, I mean, he might as well. I wasn't sure when Batista was like, oh, listen, since you are alive, I've just made sure that you're alive in the database around the world. We've gotten rid of your death certificate. You're back to life. What are friends for, sort of thing. But it has made it, of course, that Angel is able to track him a lot better. And he is working with Teddy to try to figure out where he is. I wasn't sure if Dexter, when he got to New York, was like, okay, well, this can't be a thing. Like, I
Yeah,
can't be Dexter out here. I got to change my name to something else. Or eventually Angel's just going to find me. Like, he's not that far behind me, like 45-minute lead. That's about it.
I guess, and this is just my tinfoil hat on this, I guess Dexter just feels like at this point, if Batista really had something on me, he would have arrested
Mm-hmm.
me at the
Mm-hmm.
hospital. And
Yeah.
I'm going to do a good enough job covering my tracks to make sure that he's not going to be able to do anything for me. And he would probably find me eventually anyway. So
Yeah.
here we are.
All right, let's talk about this rideshare killer, the Dark Passenger. I couldn't be happier that they decided to use this name because watching Dexter be jealous that they are calling him the Dark Passenger and him being like, no, 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 that's not what his name is. I'm calling him the imposter. I was like, oh my goodness, Dexter jealousy over a serial killer name is incredible.
I loved everything about this. I also love it. I'll give a tiny bit of a story time here. Is that I went to Lowe's, last year because I wanted to get a new plant to kind of spruce up my place a little bit. And I was like, okay, there's a couple plants I know very much would be good because I don't have to water them that much, like a ZZ plant or a snake
Yeah.
plant. I thought I had this ZZ plant in my hands. I bought it. I brought it home, and then I showed it to you on point. You were
Yeah.
like, "That's not a ZZ plant," and like it says so on the plot. So I started naming this plant Imposter, and so that's its name now. Dexter naming this guy that just brought me a lot of joy. I think this whole story.
I remember coming over to your house and seeing it. I'm like, I think that's a corn plant.
I know, but you know what? It's Imposter now. I understand the sentiment, Dexter, minus all the killing, but it's just getting him back in that emotional headspace, but also this show reminding us the original Dexter was funny, really funny at times. It can't abandon that.
Absolutely. And I think that everything that's going on with this rideshare killer, imposter, we're not calling him Dark Passenger either.
No.
He's imposter. So, what's going to end up happening with this imposter storyline is how I think Dexter is going to be introduced to Charlie and Leon. So, let's put on our tinfoil hats here.
All
We
right.
saw Charlie go to someone's house, imposter, and start looking around for their trophies. And she finds them up in the ceiling. She pulls it out. It's a whole bunch of driver's licenses with blood X'd out on them. We know that he is killing drivers. So this is the same person. So she
Yeah.
leaves him this invitation, this satchel of money to basically, seemingly from all the promo we've seen, invite him to be part of this killer group. Now that we have Dexter, that's like met blessing. I was like, no, 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 no. This person is not taking my name. This person needs to go. I'm not all right with this. I think that Dexter is going to end up killing imposter. Charlie's going to see it. Leon's going to find out about it and be like, oh, I thought I was interested in imposter. No, I want the guy who killed imposter. Give him an invitation.
What I would also really like from this story, and I hope they're going in this direction, is for that sequence of events to happen, but then them also realize, oh, this is Dexter Morgan, and maybe they are actually able to sort of come to some revelations about the Bay Harbor Butcher or something else, or maybe they get information about the Bay Harbor Butcher because they think he's Dokes or whatever. But I would just love the idea that we could learn that they have been tracking Dexter for a long time or trying to figure out if he's still alive or any of that. Because mostly I want to see more of that time period where Lumberjack Dexter existed before Iron Lake Dexter came around. I don't actually need to see Lumberjack Dexter. We don't need to be reminded of that. But there's just a lot of missing time between the original show and New Blood. I would just like this to all kind of be tied in here so that Dexter, or at the very least, someone connected to the Bay Harbor Butcher who, publicly is Dokes, that this could have been the white whale for Leon to some extent.
Yeah, and that maybe he just got lucky and stumbled in on it because Dexter was after the same person that he was after.
Yeah, I think that could be interesting. It may also be really interesting down the road if Harrison becomes someone who Leon and Charlie end up becoming interested in just because, we've seen him kill, and Dexter, he is still kind of a father bear, so him being protective of Harrison could send us down some interesting roads.
I'm sure that Leon would be very interested in a father-son killing team.
I think so. I think that's really compelling. I think it's an interesting question, though, that Dinklage was announced as a huge cast member leading up to Resurrection. He's not in these first two episodes. Are we all collectively okay with that?
I'm okay with that. They need to build up to it. I don't need to see him right away. I feel like the story is being set really nicely. We saw Charlie a little bit. We saw her give the invitation. We also saw her take somebody off the board who has worked with them in the past. So we've gotten an idea that she is the person that is out there inviting people, but she is also definitely the security team.
Yeah, she's an enforcer, and they clearly wanted us to know how dangerous she is
Very.
almost right away. And so
Yes.
once again, another really, really compelling setup. And just within these episodes, we have a good sense as to who a lot of the major characters are within Dexter's world right now, but we've got this introduction to something more. And I mean, I will say, I am a tiny bit concerned, not extremely, about the
Mm.
idea that's like, okay, we have Dexter, we have
Mhm.
Harrison, we
Mhm.
have everybody at the hotel,
Mhm.
we have Blessing, we have Batista,
Mhm.
we have Claudette, we have the
Mhm.
police, we're bringing in Prater, we're bringing in all these other killers. Is there going to be too much that we're going to not be able to actually chew on all of it? These are a lot of characters.
This is gonna be messy.
It's going to be messy. I hope it's not too messy, but I feel like
Yeah.
these episodes were really well put together, really fun, really nostalgic. It's just like, if you love the Dexter universe, how can you not enjoy this? Like, I just had a great time.
Yeah, I feel like yes, there is a big cast here. There are a lot of things going on, but I think some of these stories are gonna start to fall not into like, a pit or something like that, but we don't need to see Angel every single episode tracking him down. We know he's out there. We know that he is going to be digging into this stuff. I don't need to see him every episode doing it. I know he's there. The people at the hotel, I don't know that we are going to end up seeing, his buddy that's taking him for car rides. I just don't think a lot of that is going to continue on. Like, I think it'll continue on for a little bit while he's still there. But at some point, Dexter and Harrison are going to be reunited. And I think that they will go off to do other things, and the hotel will just kind of dissipate.
Well, that is where we are coming out of these first two episodes. I'm smiling so much from a show that's so dark, but it's just, let us know what you thought about these episodes. Where do you think we're going with all of this? Like, give us all your theories. We love hearing from you, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our 3 Dexter Resurrection videos a week, and
Yeah.
you can support us further by joining our Patreon. We've got a link in the description there, and we're covering there exclusively Countdown on Prime Video.
Mhm.
Thank you guys so
Thank you.
much for your support. We'll see you here next time.